All right, you're watching TVC Breakfast. It's time to look at the headlines across Nigerian newspapers. And I have with me on the Friday, like this as usual, Sheson OKUNADE is here, Chartered Accountant and Public Affairs Analyst. Sheson, good morning.
Good morning,
good to see
Mike.
you.
Thank God it's Friday.
Exactly. Thank God it's Friday.
You look around and you just ask yourself, the whole thing, it's not just it's not forming the normal additions.
Oh yeah, of course. It's not adding up. It's not adding up.
Interview.
Yeah, it's not adding up sometimes. But Nigerians are hopeful people.
Oh wow.
Let's bring in KEHINDE NWANDU, CEO CKN News, joining us on Zoom. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday.
With love from Egba, Abeokuta.
Oh, very good. Are you taking amala or you are eating nkwobi? Which one?
Both amala and begiri, all combined.
Oh, very good. Very good. But there's no nkwobi there you're taking.
No, I've not seen nkwobi. I'll look for it.
All right, good to have you join me. Great.
Yeah, thanks.
Now let's begin with the Guardian newspaper. Guardian newspaper says, Electoral Act, I didn't order Senate to remove Section 8412, Buhari tells court. I didn't order Senate to remove Section 8412, Buhari tells the court. Okay. Now, the Nation newspaper is next. Buhari to court. Electoral Act 8412, unconstitutional. Electoral Act 8412, unconstitutional. PDP suit for hearing May 16. And APC drops guideline on resignation, awaits court verdict. Okay. That's the Nation newspaper. Let's go to leadership. Political parties reject drug test for aspirants. Okay. Political parties reject drug test for aspirants. Says it's an affront. All right. One NDLEA not to toy with politicians. All right. CSOs divided over planned drug test and test not to be stigmatized. It's not to stigmatize aspirants, says the NDLEA. All right. Recall that the chairman or CEO of NDLEA, General Buba Marwa, had proposed a drug test for politicians in the country. Okay. Now, let's go to Daily Trust. Daily Trust says APC presidential ticket, high stakes in Southwest, as 5 aspirants eye tickets from zone. All right. APC presidential ticket, high stakes in the Southwest as 5 aspirants eye ticket from the zone. Okay, Oshibaju, Tinubu, and Mosun, 2 others to split zones, 1,568 delegates. All right, we're awaiting direction. The parties will take. Afenifere is saying this. All right, we should strive for a national president. All right, these are all issues from there. That's Daily Trust. This Nigeria, PDP presidential tickets. Ayu is saying, I'll be impartial. I won't work for you as an aspirant. I'll work for all 17. Party chair tells Atiku, go and convince delegates. That's what the statement is there, right? That's this Nigeria. Blueprint newspaper is next. Atiku to PDP National Working Committee on 2023 presidency. With my 11 million votes, I deserve right of first refusal. With my 11 million votes, I deserve right of first refusal. All right? Where is the vote from? But however, these are political issues. We wouldn't work for you, but for all 17 aspirants. The national chairman is saying this. Asks contenders to market themselves before delegates. Cautions elders against endorsement, hops on internal process. And will manage the huge number of aspirants without rancor, as a party is saying that. All right, let's go to Nigerian Tribune. Falana is saying 2023 presidency. Falana is the 1999 Constitution. Supreme Court decisions have disqualified Jonathan. Cites Ladoja Nyako cases. Says ex-president will spend more than 8 years if elected. Okay. And he cited Section 137, subsection 3 of the Constitution, and as amended, to have disqualified, according to Femi Falana, that former President Goodluck Jonathan cannot contest presidency again, because the Constitution had, laid that to rest in that regard. Okay, that's that. We'll look at that if as time goes on. Then let's go to the Punch newspaper. Presidency saying PDP reps, SANs warn Jonathan Group threatens suit. All right. Ex-president can't contest. It's risky. He'll be ridiculed. Falano, Emeka Ngigi. All right. Reject APC Buhari's offer. It's offensive, disgraceful to all of us. PDP reps are saying this will go to court if Jonathan joins race. We won't tolerate impunity, as a group is saying this. All right. All that on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Okay. The Vanguard newspaper says how I became VP. Osinbajo is credited at revealing this. Now says he was surprised when Buhari nominated him as running mate. Intrigues that led to his nomination. Why I'm telling the story. How we chose Osinbajo. Presidency source. I'm most prepared for president. Okay. All that on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Daily Sun is next. Bala Mohammed, Saraki under pressure as Northern elders intensify efforts to get one consensus candidate to step down. Okay, that's Daily Sun. National economy. Global economy may lose $10 trillion to cybercrime. Experts warn Nigerians as nation records 208 billion naira cybercrime losses. That's national economy. Business Day is next. Street food business booms as unemployment bites. Street food business booms as unemployment bites. There was a picture of a university don recently, although on social media, you see the picture of him frying what is suspected to be akara just by the side, as lecturers are on strike. Anyway, he was just by the side. That's Business Day. News Direct, NNPC, FIRS, DPR, other generates 28.02 trillion naira in 3 years. Nati is revealing this. All right. Gentlemen, let's look at this drug test issue that is raising some level of concerns amongst politicians and as well as Nigerians, because the issue of the impact of drug on so many things we do these days seem to be very devastating. If you'll see the headline on the Leadership newspaper, political parties reject drug test for aspirants. And they're giving different voices there. Now, recall that the NDLEA head had proposed that there should be drug tests for aspirants, political aspirants, and not just political aspirants, but even those who are seeking, those who are appointed into public offices, all of them should undergo some kind of test. There was even a report of Kano State working towards adopting that for their own state already. But what do you make of this?
Thank you very much, Mike. To me, it's a welcome idea. If you look at the level illicit drugs, it's actually moving. Remember the drug baron that was picked last week, and several that we've seen, the level at which tramadol and some other drugs moves even within our youths, it's really not encouraging. And you ask yourself the question, these drugs are really not cheap, and that an average person will feel that is the thing he or she needs to do. So I feel if we must have a clean environment, we should start with our leaders. And what that is saying is we need to know the state of things. There are several tests, there are several things expected, even as politicians are, canvassing and knowing. So if you're looking at, let's have understanding of your financial position, let's have understanding of your health position, because you are our leader. We should be able to know that our leaders in question too are not part of the people encouraging the youth in perpetrating some of these things, because we consider you as a leader. So it's a welcome idea to me. But when I heard the news the other time, I felt the politician will put their weight against it, because a lot is. And what this is trying to achieve, by my own personal destiny, is to discredit the level at which illicit drugs are just in the atmosphere there. So if tests are carried out and you know that you're on the watch list, people are monitoring things, it will deter you of actually venturing into some of this thing. Because truth be told, that there are so many people who get themselves in these hard drugs of a thing, but not too known to individual. And if you look at the level that the cost is not easy to come by. So then you know that the level at which that thing operates is not for the small boys, but for the bigger ones. So if you can pick the bigger boys, then the small boys will definitely have their way out.
Oh, it's okay. I'm going to make Chris respond to this, but the story on the front page of the Leadership is getting our attention this morning, and it's saying that political parties reject drug tests for aspirants. And we were looking at, as this is a reaction to a proposal recently that by the NDLEA that there should be drug tests for aspirants or anyone who is going to occupy a public office. If you're going to be appointed, if you're going to be elected, if you're even going to rise to the level of permanent secretary and all of that and so on. That's what we're looking at on this segment. We have OKUNADE here. He's a chartered accountant and a public affairs analyst with us. We also have on Zoom Chris KEHINDE. He's the CEO of CKN News. Now, Chris, let me bring you on here. Some persons I was speaking with yesterday on the program here had said that, well, the point there is it's a good thing. Ideally, it's not a bad thing to talk about drug tests. It's a way of trying to ensure that everyone decision you're taking as a public office holder on behalf of people, what you're doing it with your, like Nigerians will see, your clear eye, you know, where you're not under any kind of influence. But a lot of persons raised a concern regarding what is going to take at the end of the day when a test is conducted in that regard and somebody fails the test. What happens to the person? What happens? Is he going to be disqualified when he's already appointed? Or, you know, and things like that. Speak to us about this.
Mike, whatever we do, we should be careful not to be able to do the wrong thing or the right thing in a wrong way. First and foremost, what you need to ask yourself, at the face of the law, the directive, what NDSA, is it statutory or advisory? One, it's not statutory because the 1999 Constitution, as amended, specified the qualification to vie for office in Nigeria. Various sections in that Constitution were very, very clear. To vie for the office of the president, there's a qualification to vie for vice president, governor, deputy governor, senator, House of Rep member, or State House of Assembly member. That is specific. The second one we also ask, the Electoral Act that's just signed into law by the president as amended electoral law. Did he say anything? Is there anything within the section of that law where it talked about drug tests for political office holders or those that want to contest for any election? Definitely no. So what I'm saying in essence is the directive by the NDLEA cannot stand the test of law. So if you disqualify me, I go to the court, definitely I will win. But with that, so I will take it as advisory, not statutory. So the political parties have a right to reject or accept, and some of them already started rejecting it. But is it necessary? Well, to a large extent, I think it is. If you see the way some of our leaders behave, and I will ask myself, and we always ask, are you sure some of these people are not into drugs? Because it's not, if somebody is not into drugs, how will he embezzle billions and billions of naira belonging to fellow Nigerians, or money that we are putting in trust with him to be able to better the lives of Nigerians, and you just touch it out somewhere? If you are not on drugs, how do they behave the kind of way? Or if you see some of them, the way they talk, without being told, without being a psychiatrist, we will know that some of these guys are taking some things. But as I said, yes, good enough, but we must be very, very careful so that at the end of it, or what we're trying to try to prevent, we don't, as you ask, if the person gets elected and they find out that he's into drugs, can you take him to court? No, you cannot take him to court. The only way you can be able to prosecute him is if you find him with those drugs, cannabis, cocaine, heroin, and the rest of them. But if you don't, then, because basically in our law, evidence is key. I don't think that testing is part of the evidence to prosecute anybody for use of drugs, except you are physically caught with drugs. The way NDA have been doing this, you see what the many arrests they've been making at the airport, border, and the rest of them. But you just come and test me and say, oh, CKN, or find some traces of cocaine or whatever in your body or your blood, and you think you can take me to court and charge me for that. It is dead on arrival. So good enough, it's advisory, but it goes a long way to be able to checkmate some of the activities of our leaders and to make sure that they are on the right path at any given point in time when they are supposed to handle offices that we have put in trust with them. But constitutionally, that is dead on arrival, Mike.
All right. Now, CKN has told us all of those in the eyes of the law. There are no regulations of that kind, and you cannot subject someone, as far as the law is concerned right now, the way it is, you can't subject anyone, you know, to that kind of a test right now, except somebody voluntarily decides, I want to be tested under whatever kind of agreement the person wants to have. But when it comes to the moral standing, where we are looking at our society, like CKN was saying earlier on, the way some of our leaders behave, you know, sometimes even a child in the kindergarten will even correct to say, Daddy, you can't do this kind of a thing, or you shouldn't be doing this, or something like that. Shouldn't that make it necessary that we should begin to consider? Because when it comes to the law, of course, we can draft and amend and, you know, all those areas of the Constitution and all of that, and amendments, all of them can be done. But if we agree that it has become necessary because of the impact of drugs on what we do and how we do things these days, shouldn't we be looking that direction?
Yeah, I appreciate the reaction of my learned colleague. That's his core competence.
Yes.
Yeah, that's his core competence. But like you ask, morally, there are certain things we need to bring to bear, even if it is not explicitly, you know, written in the Constitution or the law of the land. The level at which drugs moves in the environment calls for questioning. And if we don't start, you know, checkmating the activities, you know, in our system, it becomes a problem that will be difficult in the nearest future. You see, this started in a very small way, corruption. Now it has become more than endemic, but a pandemic that has eaten raw into our system. If it was, you know, checkmated at the beginning, we would have had, you know, a leverage to say, okay, we have a system that is working. In as much as I'll go in line with CKN, most of the politicians, what we look out for is this entrenched in the law? One is not, let them go ahead and do it. I will contest it in the court of law. Moreover, there are certain things that are in the Constitution that we even go against. If we can do that, how much more this? Because this is necessary. The truth of the matter is the level at which we have these drugs in our environment is really calling for question. And CKN said, if you are tested, and we got to know that
if we find a trace of anything in your system,
on you, but the only thing you can only be taken to court if we see you physically handling it. So if you find you tested positive, how did you get it? How did it get to your body? That's another question, which is moral, but not by law. You have it on you.
But the question I'm going to ask CKN eventually too, because you know that thing, you know. CKN talked about the issue of evidence. There has to be scientific evidence which is factual that you can hold. So if a hospital of competent or that has a high level of competence conduct a scientific test on you, on your blood or whatever sample, and they find a trace of any substance, cocaine, heroin, whatever on you, is it not admissible? In fact, CK, let me ask you this. Should that not be admissible in court that, yeah, we found some traces of heroin or cocaine or whatever in your system? Would that not stand?
Mike, there's a continual fight, or how will I put it? Morality and law are not the same. And that is a fact in jurisprudence. Morality, there's a difference between morality and law. Most often it has been asked whether morality and law are the same. And we have been told in school that morality and law are not the same. Yes, it might be morally wrong, but what does the law say? Everything we do depends on the law. And I've told you, except I stand to be corrected, that in the ground norm, as we say, as we call it in law, is the Constitution. That is the ground norm. Every other law you make that is inconsistent with the ground norm is as good as not in existence. So even if NDLA makes a bylaw today or whatever, or there's an act by Mike, look at what is happening. Let me give you a classical example. Within the electoral law, the electoral law that was just passed and the Constitution, you will see that some politicians are already going to court to challenge the validity of Section 84 sub 12, I think. Yes. You understand that? You understand that? Why? The fact that it's enshrined in the electoral law as passed, signed by the president, there is also within the Constitution, the fundamental human right within the Constitution, 1999 Constitution, as amended, that stated specifically that every Nigerian has a right to vie for an office, and he has given so many instances and given. So that Constitution, I will tell you today, if you put both of you, take those the Constitution and the Electoral Act that was passed and signed by the president, and take it to a court, whether the High Court, whether the Court of Appeal or the Supreme Court, and you take, if there's any contradiction, I will tell you that we are free. That the Constitution will override whatever the Electoral Act or any other one. So that is what happens that is our law. Whether we like it or not, that is where it is. But coming back to your question, you say if you find traces of I don't. Mike, there's very certain. If I'm an athlete, okay, there's specified law on that. If I'm an athlete and you come, you know that they come for tests every now and then. After you run or do whatever, you come for tests and they test you. If they find any kind of drug in there, that is why Blessing Kagbari, one of our best athletes today, has been banned by the active body because she didn't come for tests, and part of the test that was even conducted for her, some traces of drugs were found. That is in athletics. That is defined. It is in their law. If you are fine. There was a time, remember when we played Argentina and Maradona so dealt with our Eagles at the World Cup. After that match, Maradona they had a test on Maradona, and some elements of drugs was found in Maradona, and he was banned for that. That was as specific. But when we're talking politics now, let me tell you again, Mike, that there's a difference between morality and law. And I can understand she's an accountant. I know my brother. All
right. Chris, you have taken us to the classroom this morning. You've taken us to a law classroom this morning. Thank you for the lecture.
you know, you are not learning, so don't worry.
He's a lawyer. So
no, of course.
Of course.
It's all right. Thank you for giving us all of that lecture. By the way, it's nice. I could see myself behind you. There's a screen behind you. I could see myself. Really interesting.
Then you can see yourself, Mike. I purposely put it so I can see yourself.
But what I'm more interested in is the Begiri and the way that you're going to take in Abeokuta. You could invite me. I could be there in a few minutes.
Don't worry, Mike. I will invite you for. Let's go to Olumo. and have
It's
a
all
good
right.
time.
Have a great
Thank
day,
you very much.
Ziki, and thank you so
Have a
much,
wonderful-
KEHINDE
have a
NWANDU. Thank
wonderful
you.
weekend.
OKUNADE, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for coming on the
Thanks
program.
for having us.
Thank you.
Just an appeal to the government that they should please assist those of us on this axis with the road that is being constructed. It's really telling on our health.
The point there is the Lagos-Ibadan
journey of
Expressway.
30 minutes now takes us over 3 hours.
Yeah.
And that's not too good for us at this season.
You know, parts of Lagos is under construction. In fact, it's a construction zone now. So we just hope that work is expedited. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for having me.